Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Mic check, Simides. Are we good, Mark? Cool. Howdy, and welcome to the iGPFun-F3 series, third time's a charm, presented by SRP. We're here live at Zolder for round number 9 of this fantastic season so far. 8 races, 8 different winners, and all smiles on the faces here at Apex Racing TV for another fantastic round. I'm Austin Knight. I'm joined by Sebastian Bosher-Williams with Mark Tranter in the production booth, and you're here live watching Apex Racing TV.
Good evening and welcome. What a race we've got in store for you. 1 week ago, we had that extraordinary race around Spa where we were entranced by that battle for the lead. What are we going to see around the Zolder circuit? Not really move too far in terms of geographical location. Are we going to see the same chaotic race that we had 1 week ago, Austin? I don't think I've even recovered, to be honest, in the week that we've had off from IGP Fun. And what you're saying, 8 different winners from 8 races, that's a crazy statistic. Can we make it 9 from 9 tonight?
We're certainly going to try, but we have broken the Formula 1 record of races with different winners. That was at 7 back in that fantastic 2012 season. Well, one of the greatest championships I've ever seen, but this one I think is currently breaking that as well. Though the championship separation is not as crazy as it was in 2012, as we have a 62-point gap between Lucas Baruch and Robert Ridgway right now. But we start to get into the points where drivers at the end of the season start really taking it into their own strides, as the Digital Apex boys currently are leading their championship with Lucas Baruch leading that as well. We're looking at Lucas Berg's teammate Will McIntyre-Jones as the 2,500 leader Robert Ridgway is in second place of the championship. So he's going for that overall thing. And Jerome Lamley is actually in third, just 3 points behind of Robert Ridgway in the overall Drivers' Champs. But yeah, we are going to have a lot of fun. Are we going to be seeing a new winner today like we have for the last 2 races? Or is it going to be something to break the curse today? We've only raced here twice in past iGPFun seasons, and those were won by Gianfranco Pagotto and Francesco Meola, with Q Thiago Marteau finishing in second place both times. And he's here today, currently on provisional pole by 6/10 to finally get that elusive win around Zolder.
We have the grids. Just want to say very quickly, Marteau, 6/10 separating himself and Lucas Baruch. I do believe that that's the biggest qualifying or pole position margin that we've had. So Marteau really trying to break that 8 from 8 record and go for his second win this season, Austin.
Yeah, Marteau will be starting up on pole with Lucas Baruch in second place, Alessandro Romanelli in third, followed by Samuel Hermer, Tony Jimenez, Alistair Hayes, Sam Coleman, followed by Victor Barris, Jerome Lamley, Evan Way, and Andy Flint. Will McIntyre-Jones in 12th place. And as your top 12, they're followed by Nicholas Westman, Christian Glamsetter, Dylan Rollinson, Gavin Petty, Adam Townsend, James Cockram, and Richard Van Veen. They're followed by Clark Williams, Nick Carty, Robert Ridgway, and Simon Fessy. Stephen Ritters in 24th. Behind them is Clemens Punson-Gruber, James Louise, Ben Goyette, Reed Dennis, Keelan Richie Robertson, and Alan Lee. Vyacheslav Podopetko in 31st, followed by Brendan Wild, new driver to the series, and I believe iRacing as well. Raphael Munzer and Matt Brewer, John McKenzie, and Patrick Rollins in 36th. Final spots on the grid goes to Noel, Richie Robertson, Patrick Rollins, Tobias Olsen, Matthew Gracie, Leonardo Cherry, and Greg Smith. That is your 42-car grid here for Zolder. Back 4 cars did not set a qualifying time, but this field is stacked and ready to go here at Zolder.
Such a tight turn 1 here. The start is going to be absolutely crucial, especially for our championship leader, Maruk, in second place. The gap between himself and Marteau, as I mentioned in qualifying, was quite large. So if Maruk wants to lead this race, he's got to do it into turn 1. We've got, turn 5, the chicane. That's another great overtaking opportunity, but it's not as easy to overtake around here. The first lap, Austin, is going to be crucial tonight.
It seriously is, because Zolder's got all those tricky chicanes, so racing here is going to be very different than we saw at Spa. 5 red lights as we are green, and away we go. It's a good start from the second row of the grid. Romanelli getting a good jump on Lucas Baruch, already onto the gearbox of Q Thiago Marteau, and he's jumped into second place immediately in that short run, heading into turn 1. Marteau, Romanelli, Baruch, Hermer, Coleman, and Jimenez. Your top 6, Sam Coleman, last week's winner at Spa, getting it up 2 spots right there, as down the field, Darren Rollinson and Christian Glamstead are going side by side on this opening long right-handers. It's pretty much 4 right-handers all linked into each other. Some of them are, oh my gosh, who was that? Was that Reed Dennis, who just went rocketing off the track and around? It was Reed Dennis. And it's a big crash. We got a car around at the start. That was Marteau. Thiago Marteau, the first chicane is around. Marteau has crashed it. Romanelli's in the lead. And Samuel Hermer's had an off-road. Samuel Hermer is off the track as well. But this is what happened to Q Thiago Marteau. He's been cursed around this track by not having to win. Well, I think is, that's just too much curb, too much mustard, too much bite of the Big Mac right there, as he was just shot up into the air and around. This is what happened to Samuel Hermer. Hermer at the end of that lap was actually had to take a big cut through. He's fallen down to 5th, and Alessandro Romanelli is in the lead of this race, followed by Lucas Baruch and Sam Coleman.
Characteristic mistake for our race leader. Do apologize. Really don't normally see, and I was saying the first lap was going to be crucial, but I was thinking more from an overtaking opportunity rather than from drivers making a mistake. Marteau down in 33rd position. He is racing once again, but he's got it all to do. Honestly, if he even wants to think about a top 10 finish, let alone on the podium tonight. James Cockram, 14th place. He's gained 4 spots. Lucas Maruk, though, maintaining his position in second place under pressure from last week's race winner, Coleman. Coleman. Coleman got a lot of speed down this fairly short back straight into the turn 5 chicane. And I think the drivers will be very aware now, Austin, that they've seen, the race leader spin out on lap 1. They'll know that they have to be careful through turn 5, not take too much curb. Otherwise, the same fate will undoubtedly befall them as well.
And, ooh, nice look down to the inside. Victor Barris and Alistair Hay goes down to the inside. And that caused a little bit of a slow up on everybody. But Alistair Hay and Victor Barris in the fight for 8th place. You can see that having that big train behind him as everybody in front of us start to pull away. Well, when you start to battle around here, that's certainly going to happen. You can see that big gap. Jerome Landley just ahead of Alistair Hay. But look at that train right behind him. Everybody just looking for spots. Adam Talsma is getting a good run. They're side by side heading into that final chicane side by side. The Scuderia Racing Forces drivers side by side as Adam Talsma gets behind Christian Glamsetter as they are pushed by Richie Van Veen.
I'm set to 15th. Richard Van Veen in 16th place, heading through turn 1 of the third time of asking. 33 laps in today's race, so quite a high lap count. It's a really short lap around the Zolder circuit. This is Tobias Olsen heading through turn 8, the hairpin around here onto the back straight. Oh, and there's a big accident there to Austin.
Yeah, it's one of the most narrow corners right there, side by side, and just got a little bit of the grass, and everybody having a big crash right there.
Yeah, Adam Talsma is falling away from Christian Glamsetter. That gap is open, Austin, to around 2 seconds. So I think Talsma's made a mistake. He's coming under pressure from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars at the moment. Adam Talsma, the Canadian driver, Racing Forces driver, under a lot of pressure as we head through a turn number 7. It's technically 3 corners, but the track map designates all of them as turn 7. Down towards the hairpin, we're right on board with Stephen Ridder. Simone Fessi, I think Austin has made a mistake. He's gone off at the hairpin. Drivers really struggling to acclimatise to this Zolder track.
There is a touch right there as almost making contact and having a massive crash. And looking down to the inside, and oh! How they kept it out of the wall, but Stephen Ritter's pulling all the punches. Goes down to the inside. Very brave move on Simone Fessi. Fessi probably shaking a fist at that, but man, that is a very brave dive right there in that fight. Up ahead, the Scuderia Racing Forces, Christian Glamsetter, and it looks like Gavin Petty and I think it's James Cochrane up ahead of him.
Yes, yeah, from 13th.
Talsma got past.
Talsma, he did. Gavin Petty sort of come out of nowhere. What's happened to Evan Way?
I think we're about to see Evan Way. Yep, the chicane that got Marteau has got Evan Way.
Drivers, it's an unusually low track temperature for the iGPFun series. Somebody majorly off in the background as we look at the replay of Evan Way on the braking zone into turn 5.
Oh, that's a lot of curb. Exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
Too much curb, too much air, too much bump in the trunk. Don't touch the bumps.
No, I think that's exactly what we're seeing around here, and drivers are going to have to start backing up their pace. I think what happens is when you get into a racing condition, you start to measure yourself from the driver up ahead of you. You start getting engrossed in those battles, and you start looking for easier ways to gain a little bit of time. And by cutting those curves at turn 5, you gain a lot of time because you're effectively shortening the amount of distance you have to drive. As I think, on the inside there, Coleman on Lucas Maruk. Maruk under pressure, Austin.
Yeah, Maruk under pressure, just letting Coleman by. Maruk, our current championship leader, is going to be very happy to see on how this race is going so far. Alessandro Romanelli, though, if you're a statistician, like a lot of our fans, he's on his way to make this 9 winners in 9 races. Romanelli, he's come close, but he's never won a race.
That stat honestly astounds me, Austin. Romanelli, he's been really quick. He's always been, when he's found the pace around the circuit, right up to the top of the timing stand. So I can't believe he hasn't got a race win to his name. A little bit of traffic gets out of the way. That's Brendan Wild, the rookie to this series. Does a very nice job of easing Romanelli past him on the exit of turn 9. Romanelli not pushing through the final chicane. He knows what he needs to do to win this race, and it's keep it clean, keep the lap times coming, be consistent, And I tell you what, Austin, also, our former race leader and pole sitter, Marteau, he's already up to 20th place. He's made up some 13 positions in the last 5 laps. He set the fastest lap of the race. Marteau is looking absolutely rapid around the circuit. Do not count out Marteau for a really good result. He gets by a little bit of lap traffic. That won't increase his track position, but Simone Fessi not too far up ahead of him. And Simone Fessi lapping some 4 seconds slower than Marteau that last time around.
Yeah, that is extremely insane. We know how fast Marteau is. He got pole by 6/10, so he'll know how to fly across this track. But if you look behind Romanelli, all the drivers behind him, Sam Coleman, he's won a race. Lucas Marouk has won a race. Samuel Hermer has won a race. I believe Tony Jimenez has not won a race. So it is the hound dogs of this series. Those 3 cars have all won a race. They're trying to be the end point to that stat, and Romanelli is trying to prove that as well. And Tony Jimenez is looking for his first win as well.
It's crazy. I mean, we haven't really seen Sam Hermer's pace since the very beginning. I was just about to come and correct you, Austin, and say, actually, I don't think Sam Hermer's won a race this season, but actually, he did all the way back at round 1 at Watkins Glen. It just seems so long ago. Simone Fessi coming into the pits. Austin, I wonder if he's picked up a little bit of front wing damage. That might explain his pace being a little bit slower than the rest of the field.
I think he might have a little bit of floor damage. These curves are really high, and it's very easy to get that floor damage or aero damage as well, as we've had multiple incidents. Good onto our track. That is really wide by Gavin Petty, kicking up some dust and then some. That would get you in trouble with the Porsche Cup, I can guarantee you that. But in this league, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, drivers, you're not going to gain an advantage being out there. You're going to lose a lot of time. I remember doing, I think, TCRs around here, and as soon as you even get in, even like a millimetre or so into that gravel on the outside, you just bleed time all the way down to the chicane of turn 5. Evan Way, he's also on a recovery drive. He didn't lose as much time as Diego Marteau did, but they spun in exactly the same way. Evan Way trying to get past Adam Tausma at this point. The 2 countrymen going at it. Who will come out? Who will be the best of the rest in terms of Canadian drivers? If you exclude Lucas Baruch, of course, he's in 3rd, doing a great job and really flying the Canadian flag. Tausma very wide though through Igton box, and I think Evan Way's got a great opportunity to get the move done into turn 1.
Yeah, that was a big mistake by Tausma. It went a little bit deep, but that straight is just short enough for Evan Way to not be able to get there, and he's gone a little bit wide and making a mistake getting into the gravel just a little bit, and that fight is going to be seeing more live right now as Way versus Tausma. They're separated just a little bit as they're trying to chase down Petty, Glamcenter, and Cochran.
Evan Way
side by side. James Luis nailed it down to the inside, I think.
That's what I was expecting to see from Evan Way. Seems like turn 1 is an opportunity for...
And I just cursed him.
I think we've seen that Evan Way on...
Immediately making that move, and Adam Tausma jumps over the curves and gets side by side with Evan Way. Evan Way gets pushed into the grass, and that's allowed Robert Ridgway to come out of nowhere. Ridgway making 3 overtakes in that corner.
Robert Ridgway really reading the room. It's down to the inside. Goes Stephen Ridder's late move on Adam Tausma. Gets the move done. This is going to open up the route for Marteau to come through. He's trying to emulate what Ridgway did a few corners ago. Marteau gaining positions. Every time we look at him, he's already passed Evan Way. He's got Ridders to go next. And then Ridgway just sort of leaving a gap. Adam Tausma, Austin into the pits. I wonder if he's also picked up a little bit of damage in that excursion.
Well, Tausma really hopped over the curve, so that's Marteau around the outside at turn 1 and up into 16. The pole sitter and forward leader of the race is really putting his money where his mouth is, and really looking for that top 10, and maybe might be going onto that podium. If we see Marteau get a top 5 around here, I will A, not be shocked, but be very impressed.
I think we all would be. We know.
That's what happened to James. As soon as we got away, we saw him pull off this move down to the inside, and I praised him, and that's what happens when I praise you. And oh, Podopenko into the side, just T-bones James Luis right there. And that was a massive crash. Sam Coleman defending from Lucas Maruk. Maruk looking onto the outside, Coleman onto the inside. Coleman gets a little bit of the curb. Maruk's got his nose right in there. They're going to be slowing both of them up. Here comes Samuel Hermer. Hermer wants to get into this fight on Lucas Maruk. Hermer looking down to the inside. It's a drag race heading down to the straightaway, but Hermer decides to back off the back of Lucas Maruk.
There's a car waiting on the pit exit there. I wonder if they've had a little bit of an excursion through the gravel trap through turn 1. Sam Herman knows that he needs to get past Lucas Maruk while him and Coleman are fighting. Herman just not having the pace of the top 2 necessarily, but knows that if he can get ahead, he can defend, he can get a second place. Jerome Lamy runs very wide on the exit of turn 4 down towards the turn 5 chicane. They are running, that was extra wide from Lamy. There was a lot of dust emanating from the rear of his car rather than just a little bit, which, as you rightly point out, Austin, does seem to be the racing line at the moment. But what can Sam Herman do? We haven't, I mean, he hasn't attended all of the previous rounds, but, you know, Herman is such a quick F3 driver. We know his full potential, and it's unusual that we haven't seen him, you know, up to the top of the field, and it's a good return from Herman, and we hope for his sake that, you know, he can put on a little bit of a show and maybe get some good points around here at Zolder.
He had a good opportunity last lap with Coleman and Maruk fighting each other heading to that final chicane. And what you can definitely do is let them fight each other. If they go side by side, it's there. Back off, nail that exit, and fly past both of them. Boom, 2 for 1. As we just saw Marteau make it up another spot. Marteau, 14th. It's just impressive.
It is, you know, you mentioned, Austin, that we wouldn't be surprised, but we'd be impressed if he managed to make it into the top 10. I think he's going to be... The top 5, sorry, yeah. The top 5, I reckon he's on for a podium here. If Coleman and Maruk and Hermer continue to scrap out, that's just playing into Marteau's hands. Romanelli's running away with it. Coleman not really, you know, finding the pace of Romanelli. And I think Romanelli at the moment has got this race sort of under control. But Marteau, you know, he's actually catching very slowly up to Romanelli, even with overtaking everybody. So he has race leading pace, and we still have 22 laps of racing to go. So I really anticipate Marteau still being a key factor in this race. Clark Williams makes it around the outside of Killen, Richie Robinson. Clark Williams only losing a place, so on a little bit of a recovery drive for the British driver. Talking of British drivers, James Cockram, what has happened to him, Austin?
Oh, looks like James, I think he just went to the, yeah, that's just James heading into the pit lane. We saw one car heading in, exiting the pits. It looks like James Cockram just had to do a little bit of a stop, fix the car, then go. This is the fight for second place. Coleman versus Maruk. Maruk is in that draft. The draft around here is surprisingly really good. And you can see Hermer just biding his time and just staying a little bit away from these two and into the gravel as well. But this opening section, you can really see on how close Hermer and Coleman are.
And the draft is so effective around here. It's the drivers are having to run more downforce than we see at other tracks. We don't really have that many straights around the circuit, so you just want to bolt on as much downforce as you can get away with, which means that, you know, if that downforce is being taken away by the slipstream, you're just going to gain a lot more than, say, you would if we were running sort of Monza spec rear wing. So it is going to be all about the slipstream, but also, Maruk is going to be really feeling the effect of the dirty air boiling off the back of Sam Coleman's car. He's going to have a lot more understeer, and actually Hermer hasn't really been within that 1 second window of Lucas Maruk as much as Lucas Maruk has been behind Sam Coleman. So I think Hermer's got the tyre advantage at this stage, and he almost needs to strike while the iron is hot. He's got, you know, a little bit better tyre condition. He needs to get past Maruk, try and get past Coleman, but that just doesn't seem to be happening. And Maruk and Coleman are just able to hold on to their respective places at this phase of the race.
As they continue on, Thiago Marteau is chasing on. He's on 13th right now. He's looking for 12th. Defensive fly for Gavin Petty, who lets him by. Marteau is getting everything handed towards him. The cards are in his favor. Looking for that top 10, but Marteau in 12th now. Next car is Rollinson, 4 1/4 seconds up the field.
Marteau on an absolutely stunning recovery
New
drive.
fast lap right there as well.
So that was a new fastest lap while overtaking another car. So he's got plenty more pace left in the tank as well when he has a clean lap. And I think this time by he might. There's some 4 seconds between himself and Darren Rowlandson that currently inhabits 11th place. Marteau running so wide through turn 4. I think by the end of the race, Austin, that sort of gravel track will just be just tarmac. There'll be just nothing left of the gravel. It will be just worn down to almost nothing.
Well, if you know iRacing's track progression system, it will literally become that. I don't know if you watch any of the iRacing Off-World World Championships, but the blue group that they talk about was just by how much cars are driving over the same amount of lines, really packs in that dirt and literally makes it near tarmac levels of grip. So it is possible that the more that they run that outside line in these Formula 3 cars will make it a very grippy surface near the end of this race.
Fascinating stuff. Austin, I always love your insights about the iRacing simulation. I think you must be one of the most knowledgeable iRacing commentators. I always love spending the Sunday evening, at least in my time zone, watching iGPFun and learning a lot about the iRacing simulator. Clark Williams has been repassed by Killer and Richie Robinson, so this battle certainly continuing. We saw Clark Williams get by Richie Robinson into turn 1 a few laps ago. Clark Williams now finds himself once again behind the South African driver. What can Clark Williams do? Heads round the turn 11.
Richie Robinson behind him has just had an incident as Clark Williams, I thought he was going to go in for that move. They're both looking a little bit squirrely right there. Richie Robinson just a little bit ahead as they were able to stay ahead. I think both of them just got very offset with each other because it was earlier that we saw Clark Williams actually be let go through that corner by Richie Robinson. But Richie Robinson offering to stay ahead in that very nicely painted car right there. Is it Snake on it?
All racing cars need stakes to go faster. Look at the run, though, that Clark Williams has got on the outside of turn 5.
Oh, it was Noel Richie Robinson, but Clark Williams getting a good run out of the hairpin. Here we go, into the chicane, dives it down to the inside, and Clark Williams, fantastic move into the chicane.
Really? That's not a...
Coleman. But yeah, it's not a move that you really expect.
Yeah, sorry, Austin, to cut across. Yeah, you don't really see many cars overtaking. So Coleman and Maruk really scrapping out while we're seeing the other battle. They've swapped places, but Coleman managing to get that second place back. Maruk tried to get past, couldn't find a way through, but this battle feels like it's just boiling up. But also, Austin, what has happened to Sam Hermer? He's 1.3 seconds off the back of this pair. Has he either made a mistake or not finding the pace? Because Hermer nowhere to be seen in this battle for second place.
Yeah, I think Herbert might have picked up a little bit of damage because he is being caught by the cars behind. Coleman going defensive. Here goes Maruk. Maruk looking onto the outside, trying to go for a switch back, but Maruk is on the gearbox of Sam Coleman as the fight for second is really boiling over. Right now, Coleman defending onto the inside. Maruk looking onto the outside, but Coleman sends it down to the inside of the final chicane, gets a little bit of a curve right there as they continue on this fight.
Lucas Maruk almost pushing Sam Coleman down the straight. Maruk is going to have to take the outside line through turn 1. It's going to be hard to find the way through.
And Lucas Maruk round the outside of Sam Coleman like Coleman did at Lamley, at Brussels, at Spa. And Coleman goes around the outside to answer Lucas Maruk. Both around the outsides in following quarters. Fantastic racing and racecraft by these two drivers in the fight for second. And that's brought Sam Hermer back in there as well.
Yeah, Sam Hermer, if he'd have been closer, he could have really capitalized on these two, sort of scrapping it out through turns 1, 2, and 3. But Hermer, whether it was a mistake, whether not having the pace, was just nowhere to be seen. In fact, Jerome Lamy sort of closer to Jimenez. Jimenez catching Hermer. This is very slowly turning into a 5-car battle for second place. So you know, Hermer has gone from being the chasee to being the hunted. It's a really interesting dynamic playing itself out. Once again, Lucas Maruk forces Coleman to go defensive into turn 8. Through turn 9 we go. Will Maruk this time try to make the move into the final chicane? He knows that it's difficult to get past into turn 1, tries to have a look. Coleman defends though into the chicane, but once again, Coleman under pressure as we exit out of turn 11 down towards turn 1.
Jerome Lamley has been on the podium 5 times this season. He's looking for a 6th podium so far. Samuel Hermer, he's all lined up for right here as Coleman and Maruk go side by side again. And they do a time stop the exit. Here comes Hermer looking down to the inside, entering turn 2. Samuel Hermer is up into 3rd, but there's Coleman right onto the outside. Somehow hanging it with Samuel Hermer. Coleman, though, unable to get past. He looks down to the inside, but it's not going to be there. Samuel Hermer found his opportunity and found his shot. Jerome Lamley drifting again into the gravel in 6th place as he's trying to chase down Tony Jimenez and the rest of this fight for 2nd place.
Finally capitalizing on the battle up ahead of him. Coleman really forced wide, close racing by both Maruk and Hermer. I'm surprised Coleman decided to stick it around the outside of turn 2. There's some really nasty exit curves that can so easily damage the underfloor of these very sensitive Formula 3 cars, but it looks like Coleman's gotten away with that, and it'll be interesting now to see, can Coleman come back at Hermer, or does Coleman start to fall into the clutches of Jimenez and Lamey behind? They've got a little bit of traffic to get through. I do believe that's the number 30 car. Cotiago Marteau, though, making a move.
Top 10. Top 10 right there. Marteau chasing down a dream. If that fight for 2nd can continue, we will probably be seeing Marteau looking at that fight for the podium, as this is absolute bonkers right here. We got a lap car on the inside. Everybody all bunched up looking for an outside move around each other. Sam Coleman, though, really defending hard, and that's backed up Jimenez and Lamley, but that's allowed Hermer and Maruk to start pulling away from them.
I think Lamey's been off the track more than he's been on it. He was wide once again through turns 2 and 3, very close to hitting those exit curves I was talking about only a lap or so ago. Lamey really trying to push, trying to capitalize. I think starting to become aware that Alistair Hay is behind and catching him at quite an alarming rate, some 6 cents on the last lap. So Lamey knows that his best form of defense is to go on the offensive, try to get past Jimenez, try to get past Coleman. It also looks like Sam Coleman was held up in that traffic. It was Potapenko. Nothing I think that Potapenko could have done differently. It's just sort of the way that racing works. Coleman was disadvantaged. That's allowed Sam Hermer to get up and to sort of have a little bit of breathing space in 3rd place. Coleman very much under pressure from Jimenez for 4th.
Yeah, Patrick Olsen looking down through the field is under pressure by Clark Williams. Williams going down low. Williams on the attack right now, heading into the chicane. They go side by side. Williams, though, just does not attack, but he takes a big hit of that curb and gets very airborne right there. All 4 wheels off the ground, definitely. But Patrick Olsen able to retain 20th.
Patrick Olsen, 20th place at the moment, up 18 positions. In fact, Patrick Rowlands in 18th, up 18. Matt Brewer in 19th, up 15th. In 20th place, Patrick Olsen, as I said, up 18 positions. So these drivers, really finding speed throughout the race. That's a very late send from Olsen. That's never going to work.
Nah, that was not going to work. That forced Brewer wide, and Brewer has lost 3 spots. Olsen, Williams, and Richie Robson getting past him, sending Brewer down into 22nd. Patrick Olsen, that was a high-risk move by the high-gear driver, and I think Williams is going to get a good run on that. Let's take a look again on board of Patrick Olsen. You see he's about 3 car lengths back behind Matthew Brewer. That is a late send, and then a little bit of contact as well. But, oh man, that is, the lick the stamp and send it. Let's lick the stamp and throw it over the neighbor's fence.
I'm not quite sure if Olsen just outbroke himself and thought that the best way of avoiding a big collision was just to send it to the inside, or if that was the world's most ambitious overtaking opportunity, but it hasn't worked for Patrick Olsen. Clark Williams now trying to capitalize on that mistake through turn 5, and it seems, Austin, we saw earlier on in the race, or the first few laps, drivers really taking liberties through the turn 5 chicane, but drivers not really doing that. What's happened to Darren Rowlandson? He's back to the pits. He was in 12th place, and that is a disaster for Rowlandson.
Yeah, Rowlandson just towed back. I feel like that is going to be the first chicane, and I'm willing to put money down on that. Well, it's one of the chicanes. It is not the first chicane. It's actually the last chicane. I think it's just Rowlandson going into the pit lane. No, well, it ends with him going to the pit lane, and that's how. Oh, too much mustard off the exit and a tow because he broke his rear wing.
And so drivers managing to survive the first chicane. It's the last chicane. Jackie Itzenbach, turn 10. This is proving to be catching out some drivers. I think Rowlandson will be a little bit surprised that the car snapped so late in the corner. I wonder if he had a little bit too much throttle on, the rear tires just being asked to do a little bit too much. I'm not quite sure. But I tell you what, Austin, I've been keeping an eye on this. Marteau has been sort of hovering around the sort of 23 seconds off the leader for this entire race. He's now got that gap down to 14 seconds, and yes, he's got to get past 9 cars to take the lead. His lap times are simply sublime. He's lapping anywhere from a second to 1.5 seconds quicker than Romanelli every lap, and Marteau seems to be just getting quicker with every lap that he runs. Marteau could get the win.
He's just set a new fastest lap of the race as well. Marteau, once again, 2 laps in a row, purple lap times. Q-Dog Marteau, like you are saying, is closing in, and Romanelli had a very slow lap last lap, and that's allowed Lucas Maruk to chop down that 5-second lead that he once had, now down to 2 seconds. Maruk putting pressure on Romanelli. Romanelli trying to keep the streak alive. 9 different racers, and that was Alan Lee on the outside and around, as Marteau is up into 9th. He just passed Will McIntyre.
And he's gained 7 tenths on that straight alone. Marteau really benefiting at the moment from the slipstream that's being provided to him by all of these cars up ahead. I wonder if Marteau, if after the race, we'll be thinking that he was racing against Formula 4s or something. I just cannot believe Marteau's pace. It is like he's driving another class of cars. Romanelli now really starting to come under pressure. That gap shrinking further, now down to almost 1.5 seconds between himself and our championship leader, Lucas Maruk. And I just start to think that Romanelli is either struggling with tyre wear or just not having the confidence, because Maruk is just looking plain old quicker at this phase of the race. We've still got, around 10 or so laps, 12 or so laps to go in this race. Rowland's trying to get, Rowland's under pressure from Clark Williams. Rowland's had a good race. He's up 20 spots at the moment. Clark Williams only up 3. Rowland's, though, coming under pressure, was 1.3 seconds slower on that last time around than Clark Williams. So I think Austin Patrick Rowland's struggling for pace like Romanelli at the moment.
Yeah, Romanelli and Maruk are on very similar pace, but when they start fighting, that's going to be allowing everybody to catch up to them, including Marteau, who is 13 seconds down, and Marteau is scary fast right now. Marteau looking for even more spots, as this is behind the fight for the lead. Patrick Rollins, this is an ambitious send down to the inside. Rollins and Williams with a big send. And oh my goodness, Clark Williams take a bow. That was brave down to the inside. This is up ahead, Victor Barris. Look who is behind Barris. That is Marteau. Marteau took a look down to the inside. He's thought about the move down towards the inside at the start of the corner. No, that was slowing down, so he's looking for the exit of the corner. Marteau, yeah, here we go. Drag racing down the straightaway. Marteau looking down low for 8th. There's side-by-side and Q-Target. Marteau sends it down towards the inside and into 8th place.
And that's crucial for Marteau. He seems to be finding all of the cars that he needs to pass at the best points. He's finding them, just as he gets to a long straight with a good braking zone that he can, make the move under braking. The gap is now 12.4 seconds separating himself, and Romanelli in first, and Lucas Maruk is now catching up. He's in that slipstream window. It's Maruk to Romanelli, so that battle is certainly heating up, and once they start fighting, they're only going to slow each other down. Romanelli as well, for good measure, has got a whole bunch of traffic that he's coming up to. That's Rafael Muenza, Gietti, Richie Robinson, Brewer, all of these cars that he's going to come across, and he's got to find a way by Marteau is looking like a really good, it's looking like he's going to have a really good result. Sorry, Austin, I'm getting all excited here. I'm forgetting how to be a commentator.
To be fair, I think we've had more exciting moments in this season than all of our commentary experience combined. And, you know, I'm loving it so much.
I certainly am. iGPFun never fails to deliver. And the record will be broken, you know, we won't have, if Marteau does win, I should say, we won't have, you know, 9 different winners from 9 races, but what a race win this could be from Marteau, spinning on that one, being all the way down in 33rd to coming back. I mean, even the position that he's in now is simply astounding. Romanelli starting to dispatch the traffic, but what has happened to Clark Williams? He's falling down the order.
Yeah, Williams is dropping down the order. Well, that will certainly do it right there. He's very slow, and this looks like a missed chicane. He might have been going for an overtake. No, it just looks like he's just missed the chicane on his own. Probably hit one of the curbs and gone around, and it's going to be that second curb. Oh, yeah, he's hooked it and gone around, looped it, and into the gravel is Clark Williams. He's able to get going again, but that is disastrous. He's having such a good race, making such good moves right here. So this is Ben going yet. Down towards the inside to stay ahead of Richie Robinson and Muser. As up ahead, Thiago Marteau is now in 7th place. The recovery drive of the century is belonging to Thiago Marteau.
Alistair Hay up next for Marteau. Jerome Lamy, I wonder if he made a mistake. I don't believe that we've seen Lamy that far down the order, so not quite sure what happened there. I thought he was chasing Alistair Hay. I might be wrong on that completely, but Alistair Hay up next, you know, about 2.9 seconds. It'd be interesting to see how quickly Marteau can catch up to the back of Alistair Hay, because that's really going to decide how far he can go in this race. The laps are starting to diminish. He hasn't got too many more opportunities to make up these places to gain the time. It's about 9 or 8 or so laps.
Oh. Lamley, how did he save that on the outside of that corner? I don't know. But this car was snaking all over the place as Marteau hops over those curves and chases down Alistair Hay in 6th place, 2 seconds up the road. And he's looking for Jimenez in 5th to make that a top 5.
Talsma in 18th place, trying to get past Patrick Olsen. We saw Olsen making that little bit of a transgression into turn 8 earlier on. Talsma really coming through the field. Talsma has not had the best of races, just been unlucky. I think he might have even been into the pits at one point. Yes, he has. So Talsma almost with a new car after presumably taking that fast repair that's given to the drivers. What can Adam Talsma do? He's not going to find a way past, you know, turns 2, 3, and 4. It's all about the run into turn 5, but there are perils associated with diving to the inside. We've seen drivers
had an incident. Lucas Maruca's in the lead. Alessandro Romanelli is falling down, and he is out of the lead. Romanelli is around and spun. Romanelli under pressure by Herbert. Lucas Maruca is in the lead of the race.
Critical error from Romanelli there. What has happened to our former race leader? Heading down into turn 1. All looks well. Hits the apex.
He's just gone a little bit too much, and big snap oversteer. But he's done a 360 and kept control of the car, and he's kept on going. Beautiful save by Romanelli, but disastrous in the lead of the race. Lucas Marut, your championship leader, in the lead of this race, and he's looking to break the 8-race streak of no repeat winners this season.
Romanelli really channeling his inner Charles Leclerc, gets the car spun around and going almost as soon as the car snapped away from him. Alistair Hay, though, has got all of this traffic to go. He's going to have to be so wide on the exit of turn 8. That's going to compromise his run all the way down to the final chicane. Marteau just gaining and gaining. That gap is already at 1.1 seconds, but crucially, Marteau now being slowed up by the lapped traffic. That's Matt Brewer, I do believe. He gets out of the way.
That'll be Ben Goyette, the one slowing him up right there. But that did bring out that gap to Alistair Hay. Just a little bit more, but Thiago Marteau looking to get that back into a top 5 as this race is standing on its head. Lucas Marut now in the lead of this race. Can he pull away from the Swiss Superman, Alessandro Romanelli? Or can Samuel Hermer bring in that fight right there? Or can we see somebody else can we see this race take another left-hand turn down the road to unpredictable street?
It's iGPFun. Anything can and will happen. We saw it at Spa. We've seen it at every round so far this season. Victor Barris, what's happened to Jerome Lamy? He is spinning around. Jerome Lamy is out. That's crucial for this championship.
Jerome Lamy, who is sitting third in the championship right there, is now out of the race. And I feel like this is, he's going out to the outside, gets around Ben Goyette. He's chasing out QT Marteau, and, well, he's just hit the curb, just got to the ground. Big snap oversteer it into the wall. And that's a wheel off, and luckily gets it to the one side of the track. But, oh, that is disastrous for Jerome Lamley. And that will be another driver in our top 10 who is having a very unfortunate day, but everybody's going to be losing points to Lucas Marut if he continues to win the race because, well, he's leading the championship with most points. Out of Tasma, selling a fakie, looking down to the inside, sending Patrick Olsen over the curves. Big jump for Patrick Olsen right there. Almost like a rallycross kind of a jump in these Formula cars.
I think if Patrick Olsen recalls lap 28 and you ask him, was he in control through turn 5? And he says yes, I think we can clearly call him a lie. There was no form of car control. That was all pure luck that the car managed to land.
Jimenez is slow. Tony Jimenez having an incident going slow out the chicane. That's allowed Marteau and Hay to go up into 5th and 6th. QT Marteau looking for that top 5 as Tony Jimenez, one of the few drivers in that opening, in the top 7, one of the 2 drivers that have not won a race, as this is a very stacked top field looking to break that streak.
It is, and that's crucially put Marteau on the back of Alistair Hay. You might be looking at the timing stands and noticing that Marteau isn't really gaining to Lucas Marut. Now being freed from the back of Romanelli is setting, almost race the fastest laps of the race each time by.
And here goes Marteau. Marteau down towards the inside. Marteau into P5 after spinning on the opening lap, falling down place after place after place. I think at least 20 places. Thiago Marteau is back in 5th, and he's looking for more.
I think he's got a really good opportunity at getting 4th place. He was some 6/10 quicker than Coleman on that last lap. We've got, around 4 or 5 laps to go in, 4 laps to go in this race. He can do it. And Marteau, we know that he's just getting quicker and quicker with every lap around here. Almost feels like he's regaining that confidence that he might have lost earlier on with that spin. I think Marteau has got a really good opportunity at getting 4th place. I think that his podium chances are slipping away a little bit every lap. Who's that off the track at turn 4?
I am not sure who that is, but I think that might be Brendan Wild, who is just getting back onto the track right there. And was it Richard? No, it wasn't Richard Van Veen. I am not sure who that was.
I think it was Richard Van Veen. Richard Van Veen off the track at turn 4, another victim of going wide. And unlike Jerome Lamy, not being able to master the art of just running a little bit into the gravel to gain the lap time. In fact, Richard Van Veen just losing a whole bunch of it instead. But Van Veen won't be really satisfied, I don't think, after this race. He's lost 7 places from where he started, but we know what talent Richard Van Veen is. He always sort of, he's either a driver that, struggles a little bit or just has these supreme races that you have to sort of step back and give him a bow because he's just, that's really wide!
That's Romanelli having an incident at the same corner that Marteau has. Marteau is in 4th. He's looking for a podium. Alessandro Romanelli, the driver that was leading most of this race. Big hit of the curb, sending him airborne and off the track. And now we go back to Hermer and Coleman for 2nd place with Thiago Marteau just 2 seconds back behind him.
I think Hermer's got damage. Hermer's lost a huge chunk of time to Sam Coleman in 3rd place. I do believe that Hermer touched Romanelli after Romanelli sped across the track. He was not in control of the car of Romanelli after spinning. But this is a huge opportunity to Coleman and Marteau as well. He's gaining on this battle at a stunning rate of knots. 2nd place has become wide open.
steering looks fine. Everything looks fine for Hermer. I think he's just backed off once he saw Romanelli spinning it across the track. And it just shows that it will happen to anybody. Turn 1 is just, if you take it at the wrong opportunity, if you just let your mind slip, this could happen to you. So this race is still anybody's to go for, as this is what happened to Romanelli. He hits that inside curve, and oh my goodness, yeah, you saw Hermer right there fleeing to the outside of the track, going through the gravel, and Romanelli is around. He's back out on track right now in 7th place, and this is now the fight for 2nd. Hermer versus Coleman and Marteau.
Coleman falling off the back of Sam Hermer, so Hermer finding that pace once again, but Marteau now can smell a podium. He can smell some amazing recovery drive if he can pull off this feat. All he needs to do is get past Sam Coleman. He needs to be calm and collected when he makes this move, because Coleman, who's got a lot to lose, he's in the podium at the moment. It's not going to be like those previous overtakes that Marteau has had. Coleman, though, very squirrely on the exit of turn 8. Marteau will be aware that Coleman wants this podium. He's going to defend with all that he's got left in that car, so Marteau needs to be clean, he needs to be precise, and if he can get this done sort of smoothly, he has a long shot at getting 2nd place, which will just be even more astounding.
Thiago Marteau has only entered 1 race this season. He took pole, he took the win, and that was it. In his 2nd race, he took the pole, he was looking for the win, and he had an incident at the very start of the lap. Well, he wants to keep it 100% on the podiums right now, and the car that is in his way is Sam Coleman up ahead, as Marteau is just chasing after him with 2 laps to go here at Zolder.
Marteau very wide on the exit of turn 4.
Oh, he's in the turn! Air Marteau gets a lot of air, and he's picked up a slowdown penalty. Well, I'm going to say a slowdown penalty in the same corner that made him lose the lead of the race. It was almost the same corner that threw him out of the race. Somebody get this man a flight stick, because that was... iRacing has just turned into Microsoft Flight Simulator.
It has, but how did Marteau not lose the car? His reaction times were almost subhuman there. I thought as soon as we saw that car launch into the air that he was going to be in the water. It was going to be a repeat of what we saw on the opening lap, but Marteau almost sort of just styled it out. It was like, yeah, this was totally the racing line that I wanted to take. So Marteau, I think, getting a little bit hot-headed, runs wide through turn 4, not expecting the wash from Coleman's car.
Can we get a little bit of Marteau slow-mo around this? Because look how much chaos it was around there.
I mean, Marteau just... that's got to be on the iRacing top clips of the week, because that is the best save I think I've ever seen in these Formula 3 cars. Last lap of the race, Baruch, some 6.5 seconds ahead of Sam Hermer. Marteau falling away. He's got lap traffic in between himself and Sam Coleman. Oh no, yeah, he has. Sorry, I do apologise. Hermer, though, under pressure once again from Coleman. I'm not quite sure what's gone on here, but I think Hermer on the last lap is having an issue.
He's made a mistake through that chicane. I think the front right wing is a little bit bent. He might have done the same thing that Marteau did. Coleman looking down towards the inside. It's not going to happen. White flag is in the air. Lucas Baruch, your championship leader, he's going to break the 8-race streak of no repeat winners and become the first repeat winner of this season. Lucas Baruch takes the win here at Zolder, as Coleman putting pressure on Hermer coming out of the final corner. It's a drag race, but it's going to be Samuel Hermer in second place, Coleman in third. Thiago Marteau recovers, drives it back into fourth place. Ousterhay in fifth. Wow, Zolder was not playing around today, pulling at our heartstrings and everything, but it is making history as the first race to break the streak. 8 races in, 8 different winners, 9 races in, 1 winner that has won twice. It's your championship leader, Lucas Baruch.
Almost feels fitting that it is our championship leader to break that record and get 2 wins this season. You have to go all the way back to round 3 at Suzuka, where Baruch took the pole position and the race win. He had to work a little bit harder today. He was relying on Marteau making that mistake, but you know, he raced He raced Romanelli really fairly. Romanelli made the mistake, Maruk capitalized, and Maruk did a great job. But this race isn't over. Rollins and Patrick Rollins and Adam Tausma still having a scrap. One of our last few drivers to complete this race. Tausma trying to get past Patrick Rollins as we head through the final chicane.
Right there. He tried to go for a little switch on. Patrick Rollins was right there, just putting the gearbox towards his front wing. Rollins in 15th, Tausma in 16th. Well, the battle has gone to the Canadian today. And, you know, Lucas Merck is going to be over the moon, happy to break that streak and happy to gain some points on everybody. Ahead is Samuel Hermer and Sam Coleman, your top three. They're followed by Q Tiago Marto, Alistair Hay, Tony Jimenez, and Alessandro Romanelli. Victor Barris, Will McIntyre, Jones, Christian Glamson, and Evan Way. They're followed by Robert Ridgway, Stephen Ritters, Gavin Petty, Patrick Rollins, and Kia and Richard Robinson, Matthew Brewer, Ben Goyette, Raphael Muser, Noel Richard Robinson, Andy Flitt, Alan Lee, Richard Van Veen, John McKenzie, and Matthew Gracie in 28th. Nick Carty, Potopenko, Brendan Wild, Jerome Lamley, James Cochran, Dallin Rollinson, Nicholas Westman, and James Luis. Simon Fessy, Tobias Olsen, Clemens, Punson, Gruber, Reed, Dennis, Leonardo O'Cherry, and Greg Smith in 42nd at the end of the field. I don't believe Dennis O'Cherry or Smith took to the start of the race, but Zolder ending the streak, and it goes towards the Canadian Lucas Merck, who's going to be very happy because next week they go to Gilles Villeneuve, they go to Montreal.
Yeah, and can he make it, you know, 3 race wins this season? It's such a tricky circuit. It's very much actually like Zolder in the fact that, you know, around the circuit to Gilles Villeneuve, there's lots of walls, there's lots of really technical corners. Maruk really proving his talent around this style of track. I think he's got a good chance, but, you know, if Marto, you know, rocks up again, he's a serious threat to this championship. He's not going to get, you know, he's not going to win the championship. He's just too far away in points, but he could really disrupt some people's ability because Marto is just so quick at the moment. It does, and I said it in commentary, Austin, it does feel like at certain points in these races, he's just in a class of his own.
Yeah, the 6/10, but the mistake that Marto did at the start of the race really showed off, and the mistakes, they're never going to help out if you can't keep it clean. I know Marto has only been racing, this is his second race this season, but as we go look at this into turn 1, Air Marto, you're gonna see on how much he easily recovered the car and kept on going, picked up a slowdown. That really threw away his chance for a podium. After that, it's so easy to make a mistake, and we go from one track that has many chicanes to a track that has many chicanes as well, and one championship claiming chicane at the very final end of the track, the Wall of Champions. Are we going to be seeing Lucas Merck or any defending champion or championship hopeful hit that wall at the end of next week?
I think it's a real threat to any of these drivers. I think if you are Lucas Maruk, you're going to have to be extra careful. As you rightly point out, it is called the Wall of Champions. But I mean, it's IGP Fun. Every track that we go to, we could go to the Central Pedal Circuit, which, if people don't know, it's just an oval where you test cars, and they would make that race just insane. IGP Fun never fails to deliver, and it should be on everybody's Apex Racing viewing diet. This time on a Sunday, come and join us, because I don't think we've ever had even a mildly interesting IGP Fun race. They've all been just outstanding action.
Heart-pounding and exciting action always here on iGP Fun. Thank you everybody at Sim Racing Pro for presenting this series, as well as Virtual Racing School from Zolder. It's been a fantastic week. Thank you everybody for joining us for another fantastic broadcast on Apex Racing TV. I've been joined by Sebastian Bosher-Williams with Mark Tranter in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.